According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, about 20% of businesses that start will fail in the very first year. About 30% of them will fail on the second year. About half of them will fail on the year 5. And a whopping 70% fail on the year 10. Remaining 30% will survive. The statistic is not good. It's really not encouraging, and I'm happy I didn't know this when I started my business. But there are 5 things, looking back now, after running my cleaning company for 14 plus years, I can tell you that I wish I had known how to do better, which would have helped me a lot of aggravation, cost savings, and potential lawsuits possibly avoided. So number 1 is, I wish I knew how to generate leads. If you look at it, any business, if you cannot bring in eyeballs to look at your business, if you cannot make people to sign the contract, swipe their credit cards, if you cannot bring them to your door, then no business can survive. So number 1 would be is how to learn attracting those people, how to be in front of those people when they're looking for your services. Because my preferred marketing method is inbound. I'm not the guy who picks up the phone and cold calls. I'm not the guy who does the cold calling door to door or mailers and etc. I like when people search for me, because then I know they warmed up and they look for it and they went through the funnel and they know that they're looking for me. If you want to, after this video, if you haven't seen the video where I talk about how to get leads, then go ahead and check it out. But once you finish this video, not now. Number 2, I wish I had known how to price the jobs correctly. And again, I have a video for this, but if you don't know how to price the jobs, you're literally shooting in the dark. So you might be bringing a lot of traffic and you don't know if you're expensive or low, because if you're low, then you end up breaking that bridge with a customer and paying for it probably, and possible lawsuits. And if you're too expensive, you're just not gonna get the job. It's that simple. Go ahead and check out that video if you haven't seen it yet. Number 3 would be how to know your worth. Sometimes it's better for a business to say no to a customer rather than pick up a customer who will give you a headache and continuous drainage of your energy and time. Because if you are, there's no way a person can be charging forward if you constantly have to look backwards. So if you have a customer like that, at some point, it's easier to say no. And with the years of experience, you will start recognizing those patterns. If you're ambitious, 20s, like I was 27 years old when I started, then you might not have that experience yet, because I certainly didn't. But over time, it'll come to you and you'll start recognizing those patterns, that when you see it, now it's easier for me to say, I'm sorry, we're not a good match. However, if I already picked up the contract and agreed upon, I will deliver upon my promise first, and then I might choose not to renew the contract and go back to the customer, or increase the price so much so then it is worth the headache and possible aggravation or back and forth or extra attention that needed for that job. Because in a perfect world, I have a customer and I match him with the cleaner, and then everything is on autopilot. The money comes, we collect the money, pay out the vendor, employee, and whenever the hiccups, then we of course become an arbitrage and deal with the situation. But that's the perfect world. So knowing your worth and how to say no is super important for the wrong customers, so you can keep charging forward. The next would be find and retain employees. So I wish when I started, I appreciated a person's worth and value more than I do now. And I'll explain. Before I dive in a little more into this, if you're getting a value from this video, please hit like. So in the beginning, I was thinking that, hey, every person is replaceable, which is true, right? We know that every person is replaceable. However, there's a value associated with a person, their loyalty, quality of work, dedication, and energy towards your company. If you're able to swim or row in the same direction with the person, then you're going to be far off, better off yourself as a company, as opposed to being for yourself. So knowing a worth of a person and looking for WIFM, which stands for what's in it for me factor, because everyone has different, right? Some people like to be appreciated, some people like to be entitled, some people like to be paid more. So some people like all. So we all have different values, and if you can find the right person, then learn how to attract them first and how to retain them, because continuous just overhead of switching employees is super expensive. There's unseen costs, right? You would think like, hey, you swap out and then put another cleaner or put another person in your office. That doesn't work like that. There's a learning curve, there's an investment. So when you crunch the numbers are unappealing. So therefore, be slow with your hires and be quick with fires. If you need to fire someone and it's the decision you need to do it. But also know how to attract people to come. And in the perfect world, you make the match, and that goes for years and decades and for the very long time. So I wish I had known that. I had to learn it over the years. And then the number 5 would be the self-care, which is super important and not to be neglected. When you're in your teens, 20s, right, then you are immortal. Like, you think nothing happens, but everything, every negative experience, every sleepless nights has a little bit of impact. Of course, you recover. The younger you are, the faster you recover. The older you get, the slower you recover. So self-care was super important for me to learn, and I've learned it throughout running my business. There were circumstances when I was really quick, my fuse was short, to show my frustration, anger, and negativity. But what had helped me is a personal care and self-development, especially in meditation practices that I do, reading self-improvement books, incorporating habits into rituals, into my morning routines, and overall trying to be mindful. There's stimulus and there's a response, right? So we cannot control the stimulus, because you cannot control whether the person will make you upset or not, or that it's going to rain on your parade, or literally going to rain, or inflation. So we can't control the stimulus. And when we let the stimulus to go inside of us, then we can, in most times, control the outcome as well, our response. But if you're mindful and you can catch yourself right in this gap between the stimulus and your response, and just able to take yourself out, then you have a power now to look at yourself as a third person. So there's the technique I picked up from Tom Bilyeu. He says, I don't do overwhelm. And I wrote down on a sticky note and put it under my computer. And the method is, if you're angry, try to catch yourself, like tuck your chin in and then put it like this and say, I don't do overwhelm. And when you do this, then you can actually pause that moment before you respond, and then it'll give you a momentum to regroup and respond, because you don't want to do something stupid that you're going to regret for a long time. So those are the main 5 things. If you're getting value from this video, of course, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, because this really helps the channel to grow. And then next, you want to check out this video, because more content, valuable, is tucked in right there. See you. Thank you. Bye-bye.